Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome to Islamic Relief South Africa's 15th year of celebration. As it's customary at any of our functions to bring the barakah and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into it, we begin with the recital of the Holy Quran. A verse in the Quran says, "So when the Quran is recited, then listen to it and pay attention so that you may receive its mercy." I'd like to call upon Hafiz Muhammad Patel, one of Islamic Relief's core volunteers, to open the event for us.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويوم تقوم الساعة يومئذ يتفرقون فأما الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فهم في روضة يحبرون وأما الذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا ولقاء الآخرة فأولئك في العذاب محضرون فسبحان الله حين تمسون وحين تصبحون وله الحمد في السماوات والأرض وعشيا وحين تظهرون يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ويحيي الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تخرجون ومن آياته أن خلقكم من تراب ثم إذا أنتم بشر تنتشرون ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم إن في ذلك لآيات للعالمين ومن آياته منامكم بالليل والنهار وابتغاؤكم من فضله إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يسمعون ومن آياته يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينزل من السماء ماء فيحيي به الأرض بعد موتها إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون ومن آياته أن تقوم السماء والأرض بأمره ثم إذا دعاكم دعوة من الأرض إذا أنتم تخرجون وله من في السماوات والأرض كل له قانتون وهو الذي يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده وهو أهون عليه وله المثل الأعلى في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. صدق الله العظيم.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah, Hafiz Muhammad Patel. I think Islamic relief volunteers truly resemble this. They carry the Quran in their heart and their actions show the Quran in work. Alhamdulillah. May your voice echo for eternity and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we have our South African national anthem by Amarentia Primary School and Apex School. Our future leaders of South Africa, I think we can give them another round of applause as they lead our story. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Zahira Bam Ismail and I'll be your host for this evening. Your programs are in front of you and we will do our utmost best to not only share a little bit about Islamic relief with you, but to make sure you have a phenomenal evening, bonding with family and friends, but also taking home a little bit of what you support. Tonight's event is about celebrating 15 years of Islamic relief in South Africa, 15 years of service, 15 years of sharing compassion, 15 years of building lives, 15 years of giving hope. Alhamdulillah. And every single one of you sitting here this evening has contributed to that. Every single one of you sitting here this evening has made that possible on so many levels. We always say every single cent counts. But in a country like South Africa, it hasn't just been the cents that have counted. It's been the du'as, it's been the support, it has been there showing up to help Islamic relief whenever it was needed, no matter which part of the country you were in. And I think the volunteers that are part of Islamic relief are testimony to how many hearts have been reached in our country. Yusuf Muhammad, who was supposed to be your first speaker, unfortunately won't be speaking this evening, but I would be remiss to not speak about him up here on this podium. This is a man whose humbleness, dedication, and service to humanity has built legions of youth wanting to be part of an organization. And when you see the youth in our country getting involved on a voluntary level, then you have to know there's something very special about this group and this organization. Because these youth are looking and rushing to do good. You can be reassured that this is driven by the top. And having interacted with Yusuf on a number of levels and a number of times, I can reassure you that his outlook, his akhlaq, his manner, and his dealings with the people around him is truly synonymous with our religion, to be in constant service to humanity. So Yusuf, even though you're not coming up to the podium, on behalf of all of us, we thank you immensely for carrying the weight of doing what so many of us need to do, but by carrying out our duties on behalf of all of us. Jazakallahu khair. As I mentioned, Islamic Relief is made up of so many people who are so dynamic and who contribute to the success of the organization. One of these ladies, who many of you would have heard and spoken to across this time, is the money lady, the head of finance, Bilkis Umar. Thank you, Zahira. Honorable Minister, Ambassador, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I greet you with the universal greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and salutations be upon you all. In a world scarred by injustice and inequality, and devastated by natural and man-made disasters, Islamic Relief South Africa has been working tirelessly for the last 15 years to serve the most vulnerable, needy, and marginalized people, both at home and abroad. We believe that even small acts of kindness and consciousness, like tonight's, can create incredible ripples of change throughout our world, impacting the lives of individuals, families, and communities, and ultimately transforming the future we all share. Our religious values prepare us to be mere travelers in this temporary world. It is this paradigm which drives and fuels us in our endeavor to effect meaningful change for those society deems less fortunate and underprivileged. But we are motivated to help as many as humanly possible, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, or political affiliation, so that we all share the best possible journey, hand in hand. Islamic Relief's global footprint extends from South Africa to Syria, Chad to China, and it is your generous hand that has enabled us to reach thousands of destitute and needy families all over the globe. Being an affiliate of the largest Muslim faith-based NGO in the world places us in a privileged but critical position to fulfill our responsibility with even greater excellence. Greater excellence from you and from me. Since establishment in 1984, Islamic Relief Worldwide has saved and changed the lives of more than 170 million people. While the cynical among us may see that as an indictment on the state of world affairs, it's the hopeful and charitable, like you all, who can see the blessing in being able to be of service to so many and impacting their lives for the better. Through the effective delivery of unique projects across the globe, we have been instrumental in bringing about sustainable change that's helped lift communities out of poverty. Hand in hand, we have made a difference through sustainable interventions that have improved the quality and accessibility of food, water, hygiene, healthcare, education, livelihood, and social services for millions of people. Every donation, every kind word, each thought and action, every aid and prayer has touched a life
and given hope of a better future. In gratitude, we welcome you to this special event, not only to reflect on 15 years of achievements and to acknowledge our staff, volunteers, partners, donors, and stakeholders, but also to look ahead to what still needs to be done. I wish to also make a special mention of thanks to our minister for making time to be with us. To add a dose of glamour, science, and sensibility, and who is the epitome of what women can achieve if they are given the opportunity and support to do their part in the home, the classroom, the boardroom, and wherever else she decides to bring her special brand of grace. Thank you. And as we renew our commitment towards working together for a better world, we are counting on your continued support. On behalf of those we serve the world over, allow us to say thank you for all you have done and all you continue to do so. Jazakallah khairan.
So don't be afraid.
Shukran Bilkis. I think her words resonate to each of our hearts, as so many of us that have been involved with Islamic Relief know firsthand how many lives have been changed and impacted by the work that's being done. Ladies and gentlemen, starters will be served to your table. Please do enjoy it, and we'll see you shortly.
you have saved all mankind. Save a life now.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have made that possible, and you continue to make that possible. Our next speaker, the founder of Islamic Relief Worldwide, is someone who I think deserves so much more than just an introduction. It's a man whose reach has extended across the world, whose global impact, I think he is even unaware of how far he's reached. Dr. Hani Albana doesn't know that I actually met him in 2012. Uncle Zainal Kaji, that's here in the audience I saw earlier today, encouraged me to put in a paper for my first international conference, the IICO in Kuwait. And Dr. Hani Albana was the chair of that. And I've never been more moved by a man who was so dynamic. Granted, he had a room full of women at his attention for 3 days, but he was a man who spoke about charity, he was a man who spoke about dignity, and he was a man who spoke about hope. But what he did more than speaking about what he did in his role as the founder of Islamic Relief, he told us each how we could go home and make an impact in our communities and make an impact in the people around us. Dr. Hani, I don't think you've truly realized the impact that you have made to people around you. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Hani Albana, well, absolutely, I think you deserve to make Just to give you a little bit of introduction as to who you'll be listening to next. Dr. Hani Albana trained in medicine both in Egypt and the UK. Islamic Relief Worldwide was established in 1984 by Dr. Hani and a fellow students from the University of Birmingham in the UK in response to famine in Africa. Launching an appeal, they went door to door and from mosque to mosque asking for money. And this paid for food for people affected in Africa. Islamic Relief grew at a rapid rate over the next 6 years, with work starting in Mozambique, Iran, Pakistan, Malawi, Iraq, Afghanistan, amongst many others, responding to emergencies, distributing clothes, food, offering health and support, and beginning the long-term project that is now the one-to-one sponsorship program. Today, by the grace of God, Islamic Relief is truly a global organization working in more than 40 countries, providing emergency aid, carrying out long-term development, and campaigning for change. Islamic Relief is not just an organization, as has been mentioned by the previous speaker, that operates to only help Muslims. While based on an Islamic ethos, its reach is across every divide. They are signatories to the Red Cross Code of Conduct, an international standard on working with people affected by emergencies in a non-biased manner, and they have also acquired NGO status with the UN's Economic and Social Council. They have signed a framework partnership with the European Commission Humanitarian Aid Department and a partnership agreement with UNHCR that reaffirmed both organizations' principles of giving aid without discrimination. When I tell you that you are helping people around the world, I truly mean that sitting in Johannesburg this evening at this dinner, you are still impacting the lives of people around the world because of people like Dr. Hani Albana, who made this a reality. Please join me in giving him a very warm South African welcome.
Alhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala Rasulullah. May Allah bless you for coming tonight here to witness what you have built. It's you who are building Islamic Relief in South Africa. It's not us. It's not us at all. It's each and every one in this room, and each and everyone even supported Islamic Relief morally, not even financially. So really, the credit should go to you as a community. But I'm here to be empowered, to be motivated, and to be supported. That's why I call the people who are going to empower me, support me, and motivate me. The Auckland School, can you come here, brothers and sisters, young men and young women? Where are they? They're gone. Okay. Next layer, the volunteers of Islamic belief. Where are they? Don't be shy. Stand up and come here. It's not about me to speak. It's about you to see who is behind the scene. About you to see the unsung hero for making this success story. Don't believe in the man who speaks or the individual who speaks. Believe in the future generation for making the difference for all of us, as sister was saying. Where is the presenter? Where is she? The presenter. Come stand next to me. And Joe. Joe? No, you Joe. You. You can't hide from me. You can't skip this night without having him standing next to me. Because I said, I am here to be motivated, to be empowered, to be elevated by you. Because we see in you and the Auckland young men and women who are here, the young girls who are here, the future of our future leaders in South Africa. The difference that they will make and the difference that you will make. And you cannot afford to live this life without having an impact, not only on South Africa, but on humanity as a whole. Humanity needs our children. Humanity needs our future leaders. And Africa is the hub of humanity and the savior of humanity. And South Africa will be the crystal clear leader of humanity, inshallah. Now, our role is to make the change. Don't talk about individuals like myself who have gone and we're going to leave. But you are the people who are going to make the history. Each and every one of you. The trust and the belief and the credibility should go to you. Because when I die and leave this world, will be talking about you. About what you are doing here. Not for South Africa, but what we are doing here for humanity. Humanity is facing a lot of challenges, and only people like you can make the difference for humanity to save humanity. Would you believe in this? Amandla. Amandla. You have not had their supper yet. Huh? Another one. Amandla. That's it. Get Mandela, our president, to be very happy listening to your voice. We are here to tell you, young men and young women, that we started with no budget, no office, no strategy, no big names, nothing. And we started from scratch, as the sister was saying, from door to door, from street to street, from mosque to mosque, from church to church, from town to town, legging it. At that time, we did not have cars. We used to take the bus as a medical doctor and my colleague as well. We believed in a mission, and you should believe in the mission. If you want to make a change, you should believe in the mission that will make you to become a change maker. A change maker cannot make any change unless he or she believes in the mission so they can deliver the message of such a mission to humanity. And your message, young men and young women, your message is to stand up as icon, as role model for humanity from South African base. So humanity needs all of us. From nothing, I could not have dreamt that after 35, 36 years, I'll be standing here with my colleagues like Dr. Abul Majd. Can you come forward, brother? Hashmat. Thank you. And Ahmed Bindari. No. The stage is big for all of us. If I can ask each and every one of you to stand on the stage, this is the mission. That we say, no one man should be standing alone. How is he? Tito. Come on, don't hide. You are the real South African. Come on. No. Please. Because this is because I don't see with my right eye. I see only with my left eye. So, this generation is handing over the leadership to this generation. While you are alive, every organization hand the leadership to the new generation while you are in position, not when you leave, and the organization will die after you leave. So we hand the leadership to each and every of you, because we trust you, because you built the future, because you carry on the mission. When we started long time ago, with people like Dr. Ahmed, or Dr. Muhammad, or Hishmat, and Tarsal, and others, we never dreamt that we'll be working globally. Only 20 pence from a young child at the age of 9 was the first donation that we received in January, on December 1983 December, when I was in Cairo raising funds for the people in Sudan and the people from Eritrea who came to Sudan at that time. This is not difficult. Don't ever take money as a hurdle or a challenge. You make it. You make it. You make it. Say, we will make it.
I will make it.
We'll make it.
We will make it.
We'll make it.
We will make it.
You make it. Don't take money as a challenge. You make the money. You make the plan. You make the strategy. You make the vision. You drive people, but by your manner, by your etiquette, by your akhlaq. This is what you need to do. That's why I like your tie. Come on. And your bow tie as well. See, very handsome. Very handsome. Good style. You will make it. Inshallah. And today, when we celebrate you. Not Hani al-Banna, not Muhammad Abu al-Majd, not Tahar Saleh. We celebrate each and every one of you. Let South Africa to be very proud of each and every one of you in this room. Let your family here in the room, let the people who are watching us somewhere else in the globe, be proud of the younger generation. Today, I am empowered, I am motivated, and I am elevated like a balloon now. See? Can you see it flying? And I thank each and every one of you for supporting us morally, financially, socially, and with your heart. Because the charity now, the charity work is a mission. It's not a business. It's not a glamour. It's not an image. It's not a photograph. It's not a number of boxes. It's a mission. It's a mission. It's a mission. And you have to live it. Because every young child, you have seen it in the film, here in the video, is looking up for you. Because he is telling each and every one of us, I want to live in peace. I want to live in peace. I want a pair of shoes. I want somebody to give me my leg back because I've been amputated. I want somebody to give me my eyesight back. I want somebody to give me my mother back, to give me my father back, to give me my hope, to fulfill my dreams and to build my future. These are the children. Children are not numbers. In humanitarian work, don't treat individuals as numbers, as pair of shoes, and number 10s. No, treat them as feeling, treat them as dreams, treat them as inspiration, treat them as this kind of life that they would like you to save their lives. And this is our mission to each and every one of us tonight. I really thank you very much for asking me to come to South Africa and for asking me to be standing next to don't go Lotfi, come back. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. See, the amount of love in this room cannot be measured. Only Allah can measure it. Only Allah can feel it for you. So pure love. Because your love is unimaginable and unmeasured. And may Allah bless you, inshallah, for coming tonight. And may Allah bless the future generation who are going to make the difference, inshallah. Ameen.
وجزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I think that is the true example of leadership. Please join me again in giving him a round of applause. Dr. Hani made so many valid points in his speech in encouraging the youth, in ensuring that we hand over the reins to make sure that our youth understand the value that they have, but also the commitment that they are obligated to give back from a religious perspective, not only to our country, but to Muslims around the world. And if we can get this right in passing that on to our youth, then alhamdulillah, we have done well. One of the things that Dr. Hani speaks about is about impacting lives of people. And so often we see charity has become something that's fashionable. When it's Palestine, it's fashionable, everyone's tweeting about it, talking about it, and giving money to it. And in a few weeks, we forget about it and we carry on with our lives. But the lives of those people that have been impacted and changed forever continue being in need of your assistance and in need of your help. So organizations like Islamic Relief are not fashionable edits that are here as in passing by moments. They're here to ensure that there's sustainable giving and sustainable continuation of making impactful differences in the lives of others. The children that Dr. Hani spoke about could very well be our children, because lives change in an instant. So while we are able to give, let's do our duties and give as much as we can. Our next speaker, Dr. Muhammad Abu Al-Majd, is the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Islamic Relief. And just a background into who he really is. He's an international senior management professional specializing in capacity building and institutional strengthening, evaluating the impact of development programs, and in applying the results-based management approach for projects and program planning, and for monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. As you can see, Islamic Relief doesn't take its work very lightly. There's full accountability and full management with very experienced people. Dr. Muhammad himself carries over 20 years of experience and has worked on a number of multidisciplinary projects funded by Canadian International Development Agency, UNFPA, UNDP, British Aid, Dutch Aid, and the European Union. For all his extensive experiences, his capacity building, his qualitative and quantitative research methods, and results-based management concepts, he has ensured that he has found cross-cutting issues such as gender, environment, and governance, and put this at the focus of making sure that Islamic Relief South Africa operates on a level second to none. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Dr. Muhammad Abu Al-Majd.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. It's very difficult to speak after Dr. Hani. Our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam said words about mercy. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We only send you on as a messenger of rahmah to mankind and to jinn. Dear esteemed guests, it's an honor to speak to you all. And let me start by introducing one of our stars here at Islamic Relief, Brother Tariq Mutiba. He is an officer of programs here in Johannesburg, and he will give us an overview of the impact of Islamic Relief program here in South Africa. Please, Tariq. Tell me first, how long have you been with Islamic Relief?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, sallallahu Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I have been with Islamic Relief for about 6 years now. So,
we need to hear from you about the impact of Islamic relief about our local programs here in South Africa.
In speaking about the impact of Islamic relief projects in South Africa, I cannot continue without giving thanks and gratitude to the support that you have given to Islamic relief. Because of your support, we have been able to provide access to quality education to more than 10,000 orphans and vulnerable children across South Africa, providing support to them from the level of early childhood development right up to tertiary level, providing them with education infrastructure, learning materials and enabling learning and teaching, nutrition programs, school uniforms and stationery distributions, as well as access to health and healthy living. And today we have graduates who have been able, who have been enabled through this to escape the bonds of poverty and can now support their own families. We have wonderful cases of, children, orphans and vulnerable children who came from really low-income households with very little hope, and today they are graduating in biomedical technology, in teaching, agro-technology, policing. We have healthy lifestyle advisors, graduates in information technology and accountancy. We've got Dr. Ali Adam here, who's with us, Maulana Ali Adam, the founder of the Leadership College in Cape Town, a school that produced one of the top, I believe, 3 students in the Western Cape, and the TLC is one of the Islamic relief supported projects. With regards to sustainable livelihoods, and I know I'm taking over from you, Chef.
No, go ahead.
Very difficult to speak with you next to me, I'm quite nervous. Through partnerships with local-based NGOs through partnerships with local-based NGOs and CBOs, as well as government departments, we have been able to empower in excess of 1,000 youth, especially women, with skills training, entrepreneurship programs, with access to microfinance for business startups, vocational training and agriculture programs and trainings, to run community food gardens, and all this for income generation and to ensure sustainable livelihoods. In the field of social justice and inclusion, we have, especially in South Africa, with the rise in femicide and violence against migrants and refugees, we have run programs, advocacy programs, awareness programs at grassroots level to address children's rights and refugee rights, campaigns against gender-based violence, access to education, as well as climate change. And we at Islamic Relief, the staff, the volunteers, partners, together with the affected communities and people reached, we appreciate the support received and hope that the support will continue, and together we will change more lives.
MashaAllah. Let me just, after reflecting on what we have achieved, let us also discuss some commitment we would looking into the future, because this is to reflect also not only on what we achieved, we want to really think about the future. And here at Islamic Relief South Africa, we would like to see more our team and our volunteers doing more local programs, developing the capacity of local NGOs, responding more effectively to humanitarian emergencies, and preparing communities both here in South Africa and in other parts of Africa, especially in the southern countries around South Africa, to really more resilient to emergencies and disasters. Also, we'd like to thank all our right holders, our beneficiaries, all of you and all our donors for their support and guidance, and also all our stakeholders. We are looking forward to work more with the government of South Africa, with international NGOs, with institutional donors, and with local NGOs, as I said, and the private sector, to really develop the capacity of the humanitarian sector at large, so that we respond more effectively and more efficiently to humanitarian emergency responses, but also to long-term development. Also, we would like to commit ourselves to more support to education, because we feel and we believe from even studies that education is key to any long-term sustainable development. And finally, I would like again to thank our staff and our volunteers, and I would like to see more female volunteers. I know we have more. I'm not sure why it was not genderly balanced today, but I know even in different parts in Durban we have, mashallah, a lot of ladies groups supporting Islamic relief, and I'm sure here also in this region there is more support coming from our female volunteers too. جزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Shukran, Dr. Mohammed. I think it's absolutely key that we keep our eye on education, because the only way to change future generations is through that. Our next speaker, Her Excellency Dr. Grace Naledi Mandisa Pandor, is a South African academic, educationist, lecturer, and politician serving as the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation since 2019. She has served as a Member of Parliament for the African National Congress since 1994. She has stood tall as an icon for South African women and now represents us internationally. Minister, I look at you and I know that our daughters can become all that they believe in. I look at you and I know that our sons will understand what it means to know a strong Muslim woman. You stand for justice, for honor, truth, and dignity. In a time of great Islamophobia and where the image of Muslim women is so tainted, you make us proud to be Muslim women in South Africa. As people who see you, see the strength of Muslim women. They see everything that epitomizes a Muslim woman. They see all that we are and all that we can be. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Minister, Her Excellency Grace Naledi Pandor.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm really scared to speak after the founder has spoken. Allow me to begin by expressing my warm greetings to the CEO of Islamic Relief South Africa, all the staff and volunteers, to you, the distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I am also privileged to recognize ambassadors and high commissioners present here this evening. Excellency, it's a great delight to meet you. Of course, the ambassadors are my constituency, so I have to watch my words whenever they're present, but it's lovely to have them here. I'd like to begin by congratulating Islamic Relief South Africa on this important marker in its existence. 15 years of service to humanity. Organizations such as the one we're celebrating today are making a significant contribution to addressing the glaring failures of governments and some of our societies. Many researchers and social commentators have increasingly asserted the significant role that civil society organizations can play in addressing human security in South Africa and in many, many developing countries, and I would think throughout our global community. The concept of human security was utilized in the early part of the century to refer to the need to address all aspects of social, economic, and humanitarian needs that confront communities and individuals from time to time. There are many diverse examples of inadequate human security, and those using this concept argued that all of them must be addressed and, if possible, be addressed simultaneously. Consider for a moment the insecurity posed by climate change and unsustainable uses of the environment. Communities living in rural settings often lack the security of a secure and reliable source of energy. In their need, they turn to the environment for a response. They chop down trees, buy cheap coal, and utilize paraffin and diesel. All these sources of much needed energy security increase harm, impact on health, and affect negatively already vulnerable women and girls as the main gatherer of these energy sources. Community-based organizations and not-for-profit organizations are known to take the lead in alerting government and society to the urgency of climate change. At times, this is done without the presentation of a viable alternative to the destructive practices of communities desperate for energy security. None of us would quarrel with the need of these communities for energy security. It is the means by which they seek to achieve it that would cause the concern. Civil society and governments need to develop new means of interacting with communities and educating them about the benefits that would be secured with greater attention to sustainable practices and greater care for the environment. This is a role that many of our non-governmental organizations must still devote attention to. Because to come to communities and say, do not use these resources for your insecure energy environment because you are practicing unsustainable, harmful practices, does not offer assurance in a comforting and sustainable way to needy communities. What we need to do, in addition to approaches about concerns, is work with communities to teach new practices, new sustainable habits that do respond to their core concern. Consider again the human insecurity of inadequate education, gender-based violence, and the conflict that we see in many parts of our continent. We've made great progress with respect to education access in South Africa. This has been an important gain for our economy, as we now have millions of young people completing at least 10 years of compulsory education. So our democracy has made a significant shift. Given the poor provision of quality compulsory education on our continent and in many developing countries, one would imagine South Africa has achieved increased human security through education, since it's such a great need. Yet, we are all aware that poor literacy and numeracy outcomes detract from the progress our freedom has achieved. Various organs of civil society, again, play a leading role in ensuring we have more positive outcomes. Initiatives such as the Maths and Science Community Initiative in Khayelitsha, Cape Town, give families hope and achievement in critical subject domains. Also, when looking at the post-school level, it is rural-based community organizations that seek out talent in the most rural village and give bright young people the lift of an engineering or medical school bursary and a place in the future. It is organizations such as these, civil society organizations, that support young students in education workshops, in community-based tutorials, and through providing community libraries. Civil society groups address a wide variety of societal challenges, and often do so without reward or while struggling desperately for resources. Their origins and the spaces in which they work often mean that they are trusted interlocutors by communities or individuals in distress, and thus they should be used much more by our societies and our governments. For millions of women living in fear and insecurity, it is civil society organizations that provide hope and relief. Organizations of women lawyers providing aid in securing protection orders. Hundreds of women in a multiplicity of organizations offering community members help, support, and a transformed human security. In a report on human security published in the year 2000, the United Nations illustrated the insecurity of conflict and of wars very, very starkly. The victims of this insecurity are often women and children who are displaced, abused, and suffer the breaches of neglect of international humanitarian law. Once more, civil society and non-government organizations are the ones that are working hard at providing critical relief to displaced women, children, and the elderly. Conflicts in countries such as Sudan and South Sudan show that women are neglected as victims of war. The focus tends to be on the parties in conflict and not on the survivors of the conflict. Once more, support needs to be given to locally based organizations so that they can provide the much needed help. So countries such as ourselves, which are very strong in civil society organizations and non-governmental organizations, I thought the cameraman was coming to tell me to keep quiet. It is countries such as ours and our organizations which should be assisting countries on our continent to establish vibrant, viable civil society organizations, because they make such a difference directly to the issues that communities are confronted by. I think it is vital that we all recognize the important role of such organizations by offering them our support and by helping them to grow into organizations that are able to determine adequate responses to the complex challenges of this concept, human security. In South Africa, we are very fortunate to have committed and capable non-governmental organizations that make vital contributions, as I've said, to human development. Advancing human security and addressing the full meaning of this concept requires us to organize interventions and forms of cooperation that take us well beyond existing models. That may mean that we do more than provide humanitarian relief, that organizations empower communities to develop the ability to sustainably enhance their development status or their recovery from natural disasters or internal conflict. For communities experiencing food insecurity, they could be assisted to develop cooperative agriculture that could grow to sustainable local trade through food enterprises. Communities affected by conflict could be supported to regroup, rebuild their lives, and create a foundation for long-term security and peace. I have been made starkly aware of the human insecurity experienced by millions in recent months. It's the one thing you come directly in touch with as a Minister of International Relations. Lives of communities, particularly women and girls, are severely disrupted, at times in hours, not even in days or weeks. The premier global organization for peace, the United Nations, is sorely stretched and challenged in this stressful unipolar environment. It is the most significant multilateral organization addressing the misdeeds of unthinking men. Because it is men who cause most of the trouble, I regret to say. They were a bit upset when I said at the United Nations General Assembly that we would end all wars if the leaders who declared war had to go into the war field. But they don't have to, they send other people. We do not often, I believe, pay attention to the role that the United Nations plays in deploying peacekeepers who volunteer their lives, or in funding refugee camps and emergency hospitals in the face of resistance from the wealthiest nations who withdraw funds, if not politically attached to a needy community or nation. We allow this to happen with us saying very little universally about what is done, how the United Nations is held hostage by some powerful nations and denied resources to execute its mandate as set out in a universal charter. The UN has no choice but to respond to the needs of the world. It and this great organization we celebrate today, Islamic Relief, are playing such a vital role in the lives of so many, yet we do not show full appreciation of their immense contributions as organs of civil society, not in a political cause, but in the pursuit of increased human security and the creation of sustainable and empowered communities. I'm hopeful that although I'm preaching to the converted, my brief remarks today will persuade all present that the transformative impact of organizations such as this one deserve our support and encouragement. So once more, congratulations to the organization for this wonderful anniversary. May you continue to strive in service of humanity. And I will give you a small check as a birthday present, as I try to do my own part. I wish to thank you very much for having invited me to be part of this wonderful occasion. I was telling my comrade and friend, Tahir Salih, that I have no idea how my PA made sure I got back here, because I was in Abu Dhabi this morning. But here we are, and it's a great privilege and honor for me to have had the opportunity to address you this evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Shukran. Thank you, Minister. I think the summary of pointing out that once we support the vibrant, viable civil society organizations, we get to see the transformative impact that we've been seeing globally with Islamic Relief. And these are the organizations that empower communities to enhance sustainable development. I think Minister's words echoed so much of what we heard today. And to echo what Dr. Hani had said and many of the speakers, if you want to do something, there's only good that comes from good. If you want to do something, just start it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of the rest. There's nothing that stops anyone from making one step in the right direction. We often say that we can only be truly thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we thank the people around us. To each of you who made the time this Friday evening, who rushed traffic to spend the time with us, we thank you so much. We thank you for giving in kind, we thank you for giving in donations, we thank you for giving in support to Islamic Relief. To the core volunteers of Islamic Relief, nothing is possible without you. And please don't for a moment underestimate the value that you bring to this organization. While the dreams and the foundation is laid, you move it forward for generations to come. To Sushil, Sunera Dasani, Suhail Dasu from Party a la Carte, and to Team Hearted, we thank you for making this evening so seamlessly possible from all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly to you, thank you so much for your patience this evening. They have a fabulous dinner planned for you. Enjoy the time, enjoy the networking, but remember the stories that you've been told, and remember that when you leave here, remember your heart has been touched, and make sure that the impact of this evening carries forward, not just for a day or a week, but for every single time you see Islamic Relief's name coming up or any organization's name coming up, you will truly understand the impact of the work that they're trying to make. Jazakallahu khair, and please travel home safely until we meet again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.